going on, everybody? Welcome back into Breaking Bet, the second college baseball show. Headlining the 2026 season is JohnnyVTV along with John Bollman here, ready to get into some golden spikes, a little bit more on the College World Series side of things. Johnny boy, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Doing good, man. I mean, we've got one more week now to get through, and it's finally go season. So, just hoping these 7 days, 8 days go by pretty quick.
Yeah, this is the home stretch we're in here. So, lot to uncover. And last week we got through a lot. We talked College World Series, obviously, but we also touched on the conference winners, and still don't have the Sun Belt, but neither here nor there. We're wondering, when are we getting golden spikes? And this afternoon, I was checking my apps like I've done every single day for the last 2 weeks. Check every app every day, multiple times a day. And Caesars was the one that came up. And, a lot of times it's Bet Rivers that'll drop first. Caesars the last year or two, they've come up pretty big with dropping these numbers. But ultimately, and we'll get into this later, it's a little bit tough to bet the Golden Spikes this year for multiple reasons. But before we do that, before we start talking about that good stuff here, don't forget college baseball VIP Discord today at dubclub.win/_JohnnyVTV / $200, guys. The entire season, regular postseason, it's going to clear 400 to 500 plays. We're up over 116 units in the last 4 years. Make sure you're on it. This is something you don't want to miss. You'll make your money back on the first weekend, if not sooner. And then my boy John's got a Discord as well. Make sure you get in for this year. That's where all the plays are going to go. All right, John. The Golden Spikes, fantastic award. And why I like it so much is because there's an edge for guys like us that really understand the betting market and the numbers when they don't make sense. But the challenge is there's a lot of guys in the field, so narrowing it down is difficult. But also, a lot of these sports books do not give you the ability to really get a meaningful position down. And that really hinders your ability to take advantage of the market. They do not want to get exposed and they don't want to have a lot of liability. But then it's like, why offer it? But before we get into that, take me through what you're expecting for the Golden Spikes for this year. Some of the guys that you're looking at outside of the Rock Chalowskis, Justin LeBrons, Drew Burrises. Where are you going? Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to keep it short for the most part because I'm not great and I'm not big at betting on, these types of futures, the awards futures. I think there's just so much that goes into it. And then it's like, especially the voting, you could have a guy that's very clearly, the top guy or should be in at least the top three and he doesn't make it. And it's, pretty confusing. So I think there's just a lot that goes into these types of plays. Injuries, obviously, as well. You get an injury, you're likely out of the running. And there's a lot of unluck involved there. But that being said, I think I've got to look more at the, heavier odds because of that, because I do think just about anybody could win this. There are so many talented guys that someone could have that type of season, within, I don't know, maybe like the top 20 names that we see on the books. So I would go with one of the heavier odds guys, take more of a long shot in this type of market.
Let's see. We got going. Thanks for putting the work, sharing, guys. Killer season. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Yeah, can't wait. I've been counting. I've been on my calendar, Xing out the days, waiting for this moment to arrive. But all right, let's talk about this real quick, right? Golden Spikes not only has opened the floodgates for betting opportunities, which we already discussed, but the issue with this is there's a criteria that a lot of people don't understand. And I cover this is the third year you could really bet on this award. I hit Charlie Condon 2 years ago. And like this is an award you need multiple options. Last year was off. I didn't bet Aloy, thought about it. But I went back, did the research, and put this out a few years ago. There is a specific formula and path that typically follows the winner. And I tweet about this. I put this in my RotoWire article last year ahead of the award. And look, it didn't win, but this was, 2025 was a fluke one-off year. It was some of the worst offensive talent overall in terms of capable winners that we've seen. Like guys like Jace Lavalette, down year. Nolan Schubart, down year. All of these premier stars, they didn't really have that big of years. Like Wahiva Aloy had a great year, but in the past, about 350 average of 20 home runs or 21 home runs, like that's a great year, but that's not a Golden Spikes year if you look at everything in the past. Like, compared to what Ivan Melendez did a few years ago, or Dylan Cruz when he had a 430 batting average. Like that is a one-off year. So in typical average, I'm going to talk to you about the formula before you start betting. Number one, target a guy in a Power 5 or now a Power 4 conference. Since 2011, only 2 players in a non-Power 4 conference have won. One of them was Chris Bryant. The other one was Kyle Lewis. Stay away from pitch-only guys. Since 2010, only Trevor Bauer and Kevin Kopps won the Golden Spikes. They have their own award, the National Pitcher of the Year. So 2 guys in the last 15 years. Paul Skeens didn't even win. If Paul Skeens didn't even win in 2023, cross off a pitcher off your list. It's not happening. It's not. It's not. It's not happening. Target a guy that plays for a team that will most likely be making the field of 64. It's like an MVP in NFL. Just because you have a big year statistically, if you're on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, you're not getting in. You're not getting the award. It's basically that. Since 2007, there have only been 3 non-playoff winners to win this award, and one of them was Bryce Harper at JUCO because it was Bryce Harper. Target draft eligible / likely first rounders. So there's a few big draft eligible sophomores this year you could target. But you have to pick a guy that's most likely going to be in the first round conversation. Aloy looked like he could have been a top 20 pick. Ends up going, 34 to Baltimore? Like that's in the ballpark there. Pretty much all these guys are first rounders, or at least first round discussions, draft eligible. You're not going to get an underclassman or non-draft eligible guy, like no freshmen, no sophomores that aren't getting drafted this year. Stay away from those guys. They don't get voted. One thing I'll throw into the wrinkle here, ideally, look at a guy who is a Team USA guy. This is a Team USA award. It is literally the Team USA Golden Spikes winner. Like a guy that's played for Team USA in the summer or one of these tournaments, like that's the guy to go look at. If you can, because typically those guys tend to win. And lastly, target the guy who has a big statistical profile or most likely will have one of those. And in recent years, the offensive guys, and John, I apologize for going long-winded, but everybody needs to hear this. Those guys that are big statistical profiles are the guys that are flirting with 30 home runs and flirting with about a 400-plus batting average. Before Wahiva Aloy, I think the worst batting average a guy had to win in the past 7 years was Ivan Melendez when he hit 387 with 32 home runs. So that's the idea you need to be looking at. So that's the criteria. So once you put that in there, then you can really start to funnel down. But look, I talked about this last year and I talked about this a few months ago. This is legitimately one of the best offensive classes that we've seen maybe ever. And I remember we were talking about this last year, be like, hey, let's look out for that next year's class. 26 class is going to be insane. honestly, probably even more stacked than what we saw in 2024 and 2023. It's nuts. So, John, that being said, let's look at the odds. Rock Chalowski's the favorite, no surprise. 650. Curiel, a little bit surprising that he's that high, 8-1. LeBron 8-1. Burris 9-1. Drew Burris was 12-1. I bet him and knocked him down to 9-1. And by the way, Caesars right now is the only book up here. Season catch you. What's up, buddy? So Caesars right now, for whatever reason, they're limiting the hell out of you. So Drew Burris, the most I could get down was $60, which is nuts. You can't get anything down. So maybe, I don't know, I emailed them. Maybe Bet Rivers will have something. But these are the odds. So let's look at Rock Chalowski, the guy who's very likely to be number one pick. Plus 650, fine. He's going to put up big numbers in the Big Ten. It's not a great conference. He's got the preseason pedigree. Plus 650. Plus 650 is honestly not a bad price for a guy in this boat, John. But given the talent, are you looking at a Burris, or maybe are you looking a little bit further down the board at a AJ Gracia? Like, do you think 650 preseason is a worthwhile bet?
With Rock Chalowski, I don't think so. Or I do think so. Like, I don't think that's a crazy bet whatsoever. This is one of the most talented players that's, he's consensus number one overall in this upcoming draft for a reason. This guy has everything. The only thing is, usually when you have that many eyeballs on you, a lot of pitchers tend to pitch around you or not want to face you, which, could get to him. UCLA's lineup is pretty deep, though, so I don't know how successful teams would be doing that. But, it's a lot tougher to play, I guess that well when all the eyes are on you, when all the expectations are on you. Mm-hmm. So I don't hate that number, but I've got two guys that I've been looking at. I'll give you the heavier favorite, I guess, first. I'm going to go with Daniel Cuvée. So I mean, this guy's got the raw talent. Let me pull up his numbers real fast. So freshman year, 24 home runs, 75 RBIs, 351 batting average. And, these are all the things that you were talking about is, the position player, the guy who can put up those, huge numbers, home run numbers specifically. I think another big thing people look at is walks to strikeouts. 26 walks to 63 strikeouts his freshman year. Not great. Then he went to the Cape Cod League, had 6 home runs in just 28 games, playing pretty damn well there. Comes back sophomore year, 18 home runs, 84 RBIs, betters his walks, strikeouts, 30 walks to 51 strikeouts, batting .372. So, 1165 OPS, 1158 OPS in his 2 seasons so far. I mean, this kid is a wrecking ball in the middle of that lineup. You said it last week. He reminds me of Yohandy Morales. Like, he is the type of guy where he'll come up and, like, in the back of your mind, you're saying, like, don't pitch to him. Don't pitch something. He's going to do something crazy. And then maybe even try to pitch around him. And then he hits that home run in that situation where, only certain guys can do it. So I think he has the ceiling as high as anyone in the nation. So Daniel Cuvée, I believe it's plus 1,800 would be my first choice.
Okay. It's almost like we could do a draft for this because it's hard, but look, let's really narrow it down. And by saying, like, we can't bet every one of these guys, we just can't. We would love to. I could look, and I've never seen it like this. We've never seen a board where there's legit 15 different guys that can win. Like, you might say, hey, yeah, this guy's got a shot. No, there are at least 15 different players that we can say, this guy's got a shot, man. This guy's got a shot. And I think for me, like, I had highlighted 3, and I'm going to tell you the 3 guys that I was going to bet immediately. I called my buddy back home to, like, put in the bets for me. He's like, dude, I can't get it down. I can't get more than a few dollars down on a couple of these guys. And so just basically maxed whatever I could for the time being until it comes out on Bet Rivers. The first guy was Drew Burris. I was looking to put a full unit on Drew Burris. I thought 12-1 was ridiculous. Like, look, Chalowski's amazing. He definitely could be the number one pick, but let's not sleep on Drew Burris. let's not sleep on Burris. This is a guy that could legitimately have 30 to 35 home runs in this Georgia Tech lineup and be batting close to 400. He's got the pedigree. Drew Burris had the pedigree and the hype before Chalowski did. Nobody really understood Rock Chalowski only became mainstream media, I would say, a few months ago until the White Sox got the first pick. Yeah, okay, fine. You saw him in the College World Series and you got it. But Drew Burris was getting that hype before him. So let's remember that, okay? Burris has a shot. Now, I think 9-1 is an interesting number. I think when I got it at 12-1, I liked it better. I feel like Burris should probably be about 7-1, right behind Chalowski. So I think there's a slight value there. LeBron, I'm not betting at that number. Chalowski, I'm not betting at that number. Curry, I'm not betting at the number. Tyler Bell, I like. He's not going to win. I don't think he's going to win. Good bet, but it's too short of a price. Kenny Ishikawa, I might be missing something. Why is he 15-1 when he got all these superstars behind him? So I don't really understand what's going on there. I'm not saying Ishikawa won't be good, but it's a little insane. Danny Cuvée, stud, superstar, 18-1. It's, look, he's definitely one of the top players in college baseball. I'm not in a rush to bet 18-1. It's not off talent. I just don't know if he's going to get the love. Yohanny Morales had some big seasons and virtually got absolutely no recognition. Yohanny Morales was the truth, and he got no recognition for Golden Spikes in terms of having a legitimate shot to win. Gabe Gackel, no, pitchers will rule out. AJ Gracia was a guy I really liked at the 25-1 was solid, and look, he'll have a shot. But the reason why I ruled him out, I don't know if we're going to get that combination of power and batting average. I think this is a 20-homer guy. This is a guy that can maybe hit 340. I mean, he batted 293 last year on the Duke lineup. I think Virginia could be a step up, follows his coach. Fine. But Gracia 25-1, I probably would wait and see on. And then, we're looking down the list here. The guy who I really like is Ace Reese, 25-1. Ace Reese was a newcomer of the SEC last year. This is a legitimate guy that can have an SEC Player of the Year season. 25-1 was a wrong number on him. I took him and Burris right off the rip. So I think Ace Reese, who last year had 21 homers, batted 352 in his first year in the SEC at Mississippi State, on a team that, let's call it what it is, really wasn't that good. They weren't bad, but they weren't that good. This Mississippi State team has legitimate national championship aspirations. So Ace Reese is a guy who could legit, especially if slot value favors, could be a top 15 pick this year. He could be putting up 25 to 30 home runs and batting 375 plus. That will put him in the conversation. 25-1, that's why I put down on him, because I think he is a legitimate contender for this award. I do apologize as well. The NFL honors are on. Tet McMillan just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Good for him. Like me some Tet McMillan. So Burris and Ace Reese are the two guys I already have something down on. Next, we're looking at Sawyer Strohsnyder, John. Draft eligible soft, stud, absolute superstar, Big 12 Player of the Year caliber. Get a little bit worried, though. Is he going to be able to contend with the pop? Is he going to have enough home runs? Because let me tell you, it is not easy, and it doesn't usually happen where a guy hits, say, 11 home runs one year and then automatically jumps to 24, 25 the next. Now, Strohsnyder is extremely talented. This is a legit top 5 overall prospect in this year's draft. 35-1 is a fair number. We're trying to narrow it down here. I don't know if he's going to be able to make the statistical jump it takes to get here. Thoughts on Strohsnyder in terms of the Golden Spikes?
Yeah, I think that's dead on. I like him too. I think he's a great player, but he's more of an all-around player than, that flashy home runs, RBIs, middle of the lineup guy that, I should say, like power in the middle of the lineup guy that, people kind of fall in love with, voters kind of get in awe with. So if he's got some well-rounded stats, add some stolen bases, more walks and strikeouts, things like that, I think he's definitely got a shot. And I think that's definitely worth a risk.
Yeah, 35 to 1's a solid number. It's tough because we're really having to limit it down here. So I mean, we're pretty much through the first half up to 50 to 1, and I've settled on Burris and Ace Reese as the two. Brendan Lawson, I don't think he's gonna have this statistical profile. Same thing with Eric Becker. Trent Carraway, a big transfer LSU. I like Carraway a lot. I just don't see it. Helfrich, same thing. Oregon's Maddox Maloney, no. Adrian Rodriguez, Texas, maybe. It's no. Henry Ford, 50 to 1 was interesting. He was one of my guys last year, Henry Ford. Thought he was going to have a monster year at UVA. They had a down year. He had a down year. He still batted. He still had like 13 home runs and batted like 340 in a bad year. So I think Henry Ford at 50 to 1 is a solid look because he is a tremendously talented hitter. And he's in the bandbox in Tennessee. They're going to have a good offense. Definitely something that I'd be buying, but I'd probably wait and see. I want to take a look, but that's not a guy I hate taking a taste on here. Henry Ford at 50 to 1, and let me pull up the rest here. For some reason I can't get it on my computer, but I can get it on my phone. Any thoughts on Henry Ford before we get going on this?
I think that's a good look. Yeah, I think it's a good look. I don't love it. I'm not gonna say I don't love it. I think just about any bet, like you said, on a position player, a guy that can rake is a good bet, especially with how wide open it is this year. I'll say my other last person who you haven't mentioned, my other guy that I think is worth a shot here. We're gonna go with Miles Bailey, 100 to 1. Which when I first saw that, I was scrolling through. I was like, "There's no way. Are they just not putting up odds for him? Like that's kind of crazy." 100 to 1 for Miles Bailey. So this dude has honestly maybe the most pure pop in the nation. This kid absolutely rakes. He was a freshman last year. He had 19 home runs, 56 RBIs, 32 walks to 76 strikeouts, batted 327, 1104 OPS. So this is a freshman. Like you're not expected to hit with that much power as a freshman, let alone for the batting average of 327. If this guy just improves a little bit, gets up to say 25, 26 home runs, like 80 RBIs, he has just 10 more strikeouts than walks. Like if he can really cut down on those strikeouts, and I mean, he didn't hit very well in the Cape Cod League. He only had 41 plate appearances, but 15 strikeouts, 7 walks, like, that ratio won't necessarily do it, but he has the potential, and I think at those odds, a guy like that is more than worth a shot because he can hit honestly 30, 35 home runs, if he stays that hot all season because he actually has that kind of pop.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because that was actually my next point, but I had to let you get some shine on this one.
I only had 2 guys. I had to say them.
I thought whoever did these odds or was on drugs went to like a rave and just went into the mystery bag and decided, hey, you know what? We're going to do all the drugs. Like, you ever see This Is the End? And Seth Rogen's like, let's do all the drugs. That's what I think they did. Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, Miles Bailey? Because, bro, while we were waiting the last couple weeks for these odds to come out, like I was mentally prepping on who I wanted to bet and who I thought was going to be interesting. Miles Bailey's name kept coming up, and I'm like, all right, what are his odds going to be? Brother, I saw 100 to 1. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do that. I was ready to put a clean full unit on him at 100 to 1. But of course, and this is what we're talking about, couldn't bet more than $5 on him. Like, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to entertain your nonsense. So 100 to 1 Miles Bailey. I think Bailey's got a tremendous shot. He has a chance to lead the country, or at least, the Power 4 in home runs. He has 35 home run pop this year. He's got 370 batting average. And by the way, if you're hitting 30 home runs, you get a little leeway on the average. So if you hit 30 bops and you bat at 370, you got a pretty good shot there. I think Miles Bailey's a tremendous pick. He was a guy I really like. 100 to 1 is an insane price. He should honestly be more like 30 to 1, I would say. I think Miles Bailey should be in that Ace Reese, Sawyer Strohsnyder conversation. And let's call it what it is. Like, Sawyer Strohsnyder's got a higher MLB ceiling, I would say, as an overall player for the draft. But in terms of this award, Miles Bailey is a way better pick than Sawyer Strohsnyder because he fits the criteria and the mold. And by the way, I haven't really done the full analysis on like who's the Team USA guy. This is just pure evaluating of individual talent and how it consists with the award. But Bailey's a great pick.
The other thing, dude, is I want to jump in here real fast. If you look at previous Golden Spikes Award winners, it's not necessarily that, best guy, the most, the best, say, MLB prospect. Like Aloy last year, Condon. I mean, we can't really count those guys yet because we don't know how far they've gotten. Dylan Cruz, I mean, he's in the majors. He probably could have a breakout year this year, but he hasn't totally found it yet. Ivan Melendez hasn't figured it out in the majors. Kevin Kopps, I mean, he was a dominant closer at Arkansas. He hasn't really found it. Adley Rutschman, he's been very good. But then you go to Andrew Vaughn, who's really struggled. Brendan McKay, who's nowhere near the majors. And, I mean, then you start getting some dudes, Kyle Lewis, Benintendi, Chris Bryant. But recently it hasn't just been that, top prospect or the best baseball player.
Yeah, well said. Well said, man. Filling in the gaps here. After Henry Ford, it was Ethan Kleinschmidt. I like Kleinschmidt. He's a good pitcher. He's not even the number one on his own team, bro. Like it's Dax Whitney. It's just he's a pitcher at Oregon State. He's a pitcher. It's not going to happen. Chris Akopian, Texas A&M. I think he's interesting. I don't know what he looks like at Texas A&M, but coming over from Maryland, I expect big things. Shane Sadeo of A&M, no. Kahil Aloy could possibly 75 to 1. It's a flyer. I don't know if we'll have the profile for it. Volchko, now Georgia, no. Ethan Norby, no. Hunter Dietz from Bama, no. Caden Sorrell was 150 to 1, and I saw a couple of people point that out. Again, this was a number I saw 150 to 1. I started laughing. I'm like, all right, how much can I put on it? I couldn't even put $5 on it. And immediately so a couple of people like Kendall Rogers were talking about it, and it's down to 100 to 1, which is still laughable. Caden Sorrell should be in the Miles Bailey bucket at like 30 to 1 or less because Caden Sorrell hit 12 home runs in 26 games last year after the injury. Caden Sorrell is a legit 25 to 30 home run guy. He's a first-round talent. What do I call him, John? I call him IO for instant offense. That's his nickname for me. Micah Niu, no. Jaron Evanchula, great, another one of these great players. That's not for the mold. Vaughn Lackey, 100 to 1. Vaughn Lackey's good. He's a first round catcher, but I think he's a better baseball player in real life that'll have a big year, but not for Golden Spikes. Brady Ballinger at 100 to 1 is interesting. Big 12 player of the year caliber. Could be in that bucket. But really, man, after that, you got Trey Phelps 150 to 1. I know he was a cool sleeper coming into last year. And Rintaro Sasaki as a long shot for Stanford, 150 to 1. But I mean, really, we're looking at it. It's not there's a lot of guys that could win. But in my opinion, the best bets right now would be Burris, Reese, Miles Bailey. I know you like Cuvée, you like Miles Bailey.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to attack it. Until we could get some serious money down on these bets, it's a little bit more challenging in order to really put something down that'll make a dent. But listen, at the end of the day, it's nice to have the awards up and really have an idea of what we're looking at and how wrong some of these odds are. But I do like having this up because it gives us a good base for going into the season. I'm sure in the next 7 days or so, we'll get something from Bet Rivers or Bet MGM that'll allow us to get something down and really have a compare and contrast. But I'll tell you this, Miles Bailey is 1,000,000% the wrong price. So is Caden Terrell. The absolute 1,000,000% wrong price. They should be cut by 70% when somebody else comes out with it with the different odds. Just show them how wrong they are. All right, John, just to kind of recap from last week, let's talk about the Omaha 8 again. I had Texas, Oregon State, UCLA, Georgia, LSU, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, FSU, Auburn, Kentucky, TCU, UNC in the mix. Want to touch on your Omaha 8 one more time?
Yeah, I'll go back through it. I had LSU, Texas, Oregon State, UNC, Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, Coastal. That being said, after thinking about it a little bit, I think I want to pull Georgia and jump with TCU in there because I think TCU is a very good all-around team. They've got that stud pitcher, they've got that stud hitter. Those are, you can build around both those guys on both sides. They have the experience from a couple of years ago. I mean, it was 2 years ago they got shafted from the tournament. Last year they got swept in the regionals, and so it's 3 years ago when they made it to the finals. Yeah, I'm jumping in there too, and then Coastal would be my last one.
Okay, very good. Very good.
I also want to say one thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Southern Miss gets in there. A lot of people are sleeping on Southern Miss this year, and they're always really good, but I have not seen any Omaha 8s from them. It always seems like they're kind of like ECU. Like they've got enough talent to get to the end, but they can't get over that hump. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it this year.
I don't know, man. Southern Miss couldn't get out of their own region or super region last year. It was region, right? Because Miami was in their regional.
Yeah, I believe it was the home regional again.
You lose JB Middleton, bro. I
think they lost by one run in the final game, if I want to say.
They'll lose JB Middleton. I mean,
he pitched terribly though. He was not good.
I'm not saying for the game. I'm talking about their guy for the whole season. He was a dog last year. Have that ace. He had it wasn't impressive, but overall for the season he was. Yeah, that's a legitimate sleeper is JB Middleton. Which could be parlay. It's actually funny. I have a parlay on that max bet. I'll tell you my parlay actually in a second. But I don't know, man. USM's interesting. It's so hard, bro. I don't know if they have enough talent in order to do that. I really don't. I mean, they might. It's like CMC just won Comeback Player of the Year. I mean, pretty obvious. Hard to deny. But look, we got some College World Series odds up below. I know we talked about it last week, but any stance you want to change about the College World Series that we might have missed other than USM?
No, I mean, and I will also clarify, I don't have them in my Omaha 8, so I don't totally believe in them. I just wouldn't be surprised if they got there. But no, usually I'll have one, maybe two preseason to win the College World Series bets. This year, I'm really not feeling anyone. I don't think there are great odds. I didn't bet any preseason, and a lot of times it takes a full month for these odds to get updated. So a lot of times you can see these teams play 2-3 weeks even and still get just about the same odds that you're getting. So I just really don't like any of the odds that I'm seeing there. And, maybe something changes around, but that's something that I'll leave until midseason to make my plays.
Yeah. I still have Texas as one of my main teams. I have Florida, obviously, as a team that's still incorrectly priced, in my opinion. They should be honestly, they should be almost half of what they are. 40-1. They should be closer to 22, 23, 24-1. So I don't understand why nobody's bought in on the Gators. I think their ceiling is incredibly high. They need a few of their guys that weren't there last year or didn't really get enough time to click. Ethan Serwick's going to come to mind, the Ole Miss basher that transferred, who's got incredible power. I mean, you got the pitching, especially the 1-2 with Peterson and King. That's going to be huge, man. That's going to drive you through the whole season. Obviously, it's a different story than LSU was, but You saw LSU get carried last year with Kate Anderson, Anthony Ianson every single weekend, 1-2 punch. They rode that to the College World Series and beyond. So really, if we're talking about it, I don't understand, the lack of respect for the Florida Gators. I'll say that. Let me ask you though, if we're looking at one team a little bit down the board, do you have anybody that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends how far down the board, because I mentioned Oregon State and Florida. I
No,
think
no, 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 no. I'm talking about long
like
shot.
way down the board.
Yeah, way down the board. Let's put a marker on it. Any team that's past any team from Oklahoma State down 75-1 or bigger.
All right, let's let this ticker go a little bit so I can see what we got over there.
I only put it to 100-1 because I'm like, how far am I going to go?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, USM would be the only look. I don't love that at all, though. Oklahoma might be a good look. I'm not too high on them this year, but it always seems like they come out of nowhere and play well. They've got a solid team. ECU, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the College World Series again. I don't know if they could go all the way, but I think that's pretty much it. Maybe a Kansas. I really don't like that at all, but all these other teams, I don't think have a chance.
Arizona State, I really liked last year. Their offense was awesome, but their pitching, their bullpen especially, they couldn't get out of the way. They lost a ton of talent from last year. I mean, they lost some of their best. They lost most of their best players, and they lost studs too. They lost Brandon Compton. They lost Kean Vu. They lost Ben Jacobs, Jack Martinez, Cole Carlin. Cole Carlin was really good as a reliever. I still have questions about him. I caught some shit last year from a couple of Arizona State fans. Like, I was a big Arizona State believer. That was my long shot team. That was my team to win the Big 12 preseason. Like, I had a lot of hopes at Arizona State. And so I watched a lot of their games. They cost me a ton of money in season because they blew so many leads. I'm not saying it to complain. I'm saying it because I watched them a lot last year. I was very invested in them. And so I think Arizona State is an interesting program. They still have talent. Like Cole Carlin, let's say he pans out and he's really good as a Friday night guy. I still think after that in the rotation's a question mark right now. The bullpen is still a big question mark. And, look, Willie Bloomquist, I got concerned last season because he did not push the right buttons a lot of times in situational moments out of the bullpen. There was a lot of games they had no business losing, and he, A, wouldn't pull a pitcher in time, and he'd let him go, or B, he pulled a guy who was doing well too quick. Like, there was a lot of those. And now, the reason why Arizona State was able to get away with some of those games last year is because their offense was disgusting. But they lost a lot of those guys. Their big guy they have returning this year is New Contradas, who is really good. They have Landon Harrison returning. He's really good. But they lost most of their star power from their starting lineup last year. So that, I think ASU could be interesting. So, maybe they coach them up to that point, but doubt it. Kansas, I've talked about Kansas. I think they're live. I like the Jayhawks to win the Big 12 this year, 11-1, 12-1. It's disgustingly long. I don't think Kansas is going to win the College World Series, but 150-1 for a little flyer if you're looking at it. Other than that, I mean, we're really getting into the annals of it here. Any love for, say, Cincinnati at 200-1, or maybe a Troy at 300-1 to get there? Can Troy be like Coastal Carolina last year and make it? Any feeling on Troy?
I mean, I think they'll be a solid team, solid Sun Belt team, but with those odds, you're essentially just trying to get a team to get deep enough to where you can hedge. Yeah, maybe they could get to that point if, they make the College World Series and, win a game, you can get a favorable hedge. But no, I don't think any of those teams have a legit chance.
I mean, look, man, it's fair, but, we're just giving it a shot here. We could go Stony Brook again. They're 1,000-1. Yeah, man. Look, I don't see that happening, but it's fun to see because look, man, there very well could be one team like Murray State last year that nobody sees coming, that they get a favorable path, they get hot, they get in. So, if there's that team, I'd be very interested to see who it is. Stetson's still alive to make a run like we thought they could be. This could be the year Stetson makes it through. Very well could be. Stetson actually is 300 to 1 as well. I don't know, man. Look, I have a feeling this is a year where we're going to get a team that currently preseason is 200 to 1 or greater that at least makes it a run into the super regionals and makes it interesting. Could be that Murray State team. We've seen it every year where one of these teams, if they're a super long shot and they don't get in, they're at least hovering around that super regional territory where, hey, they lost in crazy fashion or they just got beat by a better team. Who is that going to be this year? Talk about it amongst yourselves. I digress. It's going to be Santa Barbara, 200 to 1. Obviously, the offense is a major question. They can pitch. Our boy Jackson Flora is going to be a dog this year. Is it Austin Piss? Austin P. They're always able to make some stuff happen. They always had a good offense. Couldn't pitch, but they had a good offense. See? We shall see. But that'll do it for us. Really appreciate everybody joining in. We will be back next week, next Thursday, talking the odds, the lines, the season's back. Don't forget to follow the Discord. Lock in. JohnnyVTV's Discord, John Bollman's Discord. John, appreciate you, brother. Have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. See you next week.